As we
Welcome everybody to the Sustainability Committee meeting tonight. It's Wednesday, March 13th at 6:32 p.m. And anybody here for citizen comments?
we have not received any forms.
All right. First agenda item is consider approving the minutes for the February 14th, 2024 meeting and take appropriate action. Are there any comments about the minutes from last month? Do I hear any motions?
Motion to approve.
All right, as is. As second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye, opposed? Passes unanimously. Second agenda item is, receive a staff update on sustainability initiatives from Alex.
All right, I'm gonna start with bad news. So our landfill solar project, our contractor has terminated their agreement with the city. So that is really unfortunate. I'm going to be presenting that update to council next Tuesday at the study session. Our plan is to re-release the RFP to get a new vendor. The nice thing, so a couple, I guess, bright spots in that. We did receive lease payments the whole time, so we did get $10,000 a year on the site. So the city's actually up money versus not being out. And they did do a lot of work for us. So we have new surveys for the site. We retain all of those documents. So I'm hopeful that as we release a new RFP, we can hopefully get a new vendor and it won't be as long of a process. They cited increased construction costs and increased cost per watt on the interconnection. So the grid upgrades that they have to do to get connected into Encore's wires and everything. I don't know. It is unfortunate because it's been quite a lot of work that has gone into that. But so we'll present that to council. I don't know what direction they'll give us, but that's our plan, is to move forward with the RFP, identify a different vendor for that.
Does council know about it?
Yeah, it's already been published on their agenda, so that's on there. So I wanted to let everyone here know now that that's, I guess we've known on that. So basically what happened, we found out in January that it was gonna be smaller than expected, which was unfortunate, but we basically were like, okay, that shouldn't really impact pricing on the bulk of the power, but there might be a portion we have to buy from the open market. They came back after they did some more calculations and basically withdrew. So they still had that right given the option agreement that we were in. So yeah, we got the official termination 2 days ago. We had they told us March 1 that was their plan, but we just now got that.
So smaller as in,
So they had said it was gonna be, I can't remember the number, but the output was gonna be about 13.6 million. And it was actually, once they did the engineering study, significantly lower than that, like a third lower. So I'm kind of like, I mean, we kind of thought maybe 10% one way or the other, because you're doing a RFP, but yeah, so that was really weird to me, how big of a discrepancy
that's a
they had.
big thing. I mean, that's way off on the map of the
Yeah.
calculation, so.
So yeah, when we got that number, that's when we started kind of, okay, what's going on with this? So that is, I don't know, it's unfortunate. It sucks.
Did you do the initial calculation?
They did the initial calculations and they had a survey that was pretty recent before then, so they knew the acreage of the site. But yeah, so the kind of our plan right now is to just try again. I mean, there's not really much use we can do for that piece of property. The remediation for it is tens of millions of dollars. So
Nothing.
right now, I mean, it's been sitting vacant since 1987. City mows it, pays for that. So there's not many uses for it. So that's where you could do this landfill solar project. It's wonderful. And get an agreement to purchase with the city. They have a project going on in Houston that, as far as I know, is still going. That same vendor on a landfill there. So I'm kind of keeping an eye out on that one too, to see how that progresses. I don't know, with the federal funding coming through, I think a lot of it's being diverted towards larger scale projects. So like, I guess you have that economies of scale when you can do a 1.5 square mile system out in West Texas, but I mean, we'll see. Ours is kind of in that 5 megawatt area, which is small, much smaller than that. But I think, it's still a good use for the property. We had other bidders when we first did this. So I don't know how their pricing would change since when we originally released that RFP in 2022. Hopefully it's comparable with our current market rates, but that's the plan right now. So sorry to start with bad news. Active transportation. Active transportation plan. Shane provided an update to council on the 20th of February. We'll be doing presentations at committee meetings. I was at P and Z on Monday. We'll have a topic on it today. That's why you see the lovely maps behind you. And then I'll be at the Parks and Rec board on Thursday. So we're going to get some committee input from some of those more engaged residents. And then we'll launch a community survey in April, get people's feedback on that. And then we have a large public input event that's going to be run by our consultants that are helping develop this plan for us. That's going to take place on Wednesday, April 17th at 6 p.m. at the Rec Center Pecan Room, where we used to meet when we first met. Gateway to the Globe is coming up on the 23rd. We didn't have enough people able to field a table, so unable to table that event. But if you're in town, feel free to check it out. Al, you're on the committee, I think, that's been working on that.
What is that?
The 23rd, and I think it's 11 to 6.
Please come.
Yeah. Irrigation checkup, rebate, the expected to our water rebate program. Everything is pretty much ready to go on that. Forms are created. We have the online form. We're getting the PDF translated. So we'll have paper copies in both English and Spanish. We're just waiting on approval from city manager's office. They wanted to run it by council. The funding is already allocated and everything for that. So just letting people know a little bit more upfront. So I'm ready to get that going.
Is that gonna be up in the study session?
So I think they were just doing it during their one-on-one meetings with the city manager.
Okay.
I just had to provide a brief for it, so they were aware.
All right.
Not quite sure why. I think they're looking at things a little bit closer than maybe in the past. The compost survey, I'll probably have a separate agenda item on this next month, but we ended up with 213 responses, which was really good. Just kind of one of the first questions I just have on here. So it was, what does your household currently do with food waste? 76% put it in the trash, 18% compost at home in a backyard compost bin. I was kind of shocked about that. That was a pretty good number. Only 4% take it to the Citizens Collection Center, so only 8 of the respondents. So I think noticing that kind of a lower thing, I think for our Earth Day marketing, that we're probably going to push more food waste and see if we can drive people to, think about composting at home, but especially know that they have that option at the Citizens Collection Center. City has been allocated some funding from Department of Energy. I think I've talked about that before. It's about $76,000 that we have available for us for Farmers Branch. Our plan is to submit that for purchasing EVs. We're looking at a EV truck to pilot that out. We have got quite a few light duty trucks in our fleet, so those could be candidates for electrification as we move forward. So we'll be looking at one truck and then one smaller vehicle.
How long do we have to wait before delivery?
So that's one of the things that we'll have to confirm on. We believe there's a 2-window time from when our application gets approved to when we have to take ownership of the vehicle. So hopefully within that time we can take ownership. I know that they are cutting back some production on the EV trucks, so we're aware of that it might not be. We're hoping that in that 2-year timeline would be okay, or we could get an extension if need be. But our backup plan is just to get multiple of the kind of smaller kind of, I don't know if they'd be compact SUV type. So we could also switch to
Are
that.
we talking months or is it a couple of years? Or?
So for the compact SUV, I think it's pretty quick. It's the truck that would have the delay potentially. But we have quotes for that. So once we get that request approved, we have the funding allocated, but our plan to spend it has to be approved by Department of Energy. Once we get that, then we can start putting in an order, and hopefully the lead time won't be too bad.
Like a cyber truck or?
We're looking at the F-150 Lightning. So it's actually in the solid waste. It's a pickup truck and it's a 2004, I think F-350. So it's old, probably not the greenest truck on there. So that one would be a pretty good, savings from emissions and gas. And so that's our candidate for replacement on that one. Water rebates, I think we have 82 toilet rebates that we've processed, and then hopefully we'll be able to launch our irrigation checkup as soon as that gets approved. And then save the date. I think everyone hopefully received their invitation to the board and commission. Okay, take a picture of this one, or you can RSVP. There is a new location on the, I guess, the event center at the historical park is not gonna be ready. So it's at the Renaissance Hotel. And yeah, Saturday, April 6th. So RSVP by March 15th.
And
Yes. And our next meeting is April the 10th.
Does our committee have a table or a couple tables, or we just sit wherever?
I think last time we all kind of just ended up sitting together. I don't believe there's assigned seating, but
Yeah.
you know, all the cool kids sit at one table.
So we just kind of
Make sure you remember where it is. I got lost. I'm not
All right, the next agenda items discuss active transportation plan and upcoming public input opportunities. Alex, this is your.
Price, could you, over on that black controller, can you get the on button in there?
find out.
I see a future for you there, Clyde.
Yeah, one job, bro. One job.
This is when we discuss.
Like it worked earlier. I got here early to test it, but there it goes.
Yay.
I'm in love. There it goes. All right, so as many of you know, we've been working with a consultant to develop an active transportation plan. This is an update from the trail master plan that was approved in 2015 to take a much broader scope than just wide trails. So y'all are a lot more familiar with these concepts, but kind of using the same presentation for multiple committees. But so kind of taking it high level, just so you know, and so everyone that might not be, you know, as in tune with this can understand. But when we look at transportation, kind of thinking about it in three ways, three goals. We want people to get where they're going. We want there to be less traffic, and we want there to be less pollution. That's really relevant for this committee. You know, we are in non-attainment for ground level ozone, so we're in violation of the Clean Air Act for that. So we need to, and the main source is mobile transportation. So those are things that we're looking at as a city. Current status on things, we're pretty heavily vehicle dependent here. That's just kind of how our city is designed. Get where you're going, yes. Less traffic, no. Less pollution, no. You see the, you know, air pollution watches. We're gonna kind of come into ozone season, so hopefully, hopefully we don't see too many of them, but we likely are. And so from a sustainability side, a lot of people will be like, oh, we're all gonna switch to EVs. It's gonna be great. Great for pollution, not for traffic. Keeps us in the same boat. Or public transit. That's a good solution. There is an issue of convenience and time. So for me to take the train, normally adds about 10, 15 minutes to my commute. Not terrible. I get to read instead of fight traffic, but for some people, it's just not convenient. The timing doesn't work.
Quick question on that. Does DART have a bus tracker app?
I think they do.
Because I haven't been able to find it. And when I was in Chicago, when they introduced the bus and train tracker, it was a game changer.
Hmm.
Like the app was amazing. I could, I was, excuse me, I always planned it out to be there like a minute at a time, because usually the bus tracker was like 30 seconds like behind. So but if you know when the bus is getting there and you can see where it is on the map, and I'll show you after the meeting, I'll show you what it looks like. It really cuts down on your inconvenience time.
Yeah.
Because I see people waiting for a bus and like driving down, like when I drop off at school, driving down Harry Hines, there's people waiting for a bus. I've just driven 2 miles and I haven't passed one single bus. you know, I feel bad for the people sitting there because they have no idea where the bus is gonna get there. And if there's a bus tracker, they've all got GPS tracking drivers already, so to integrate that.
Yeah, we can look in and see if they have one. I'm
I
not
took the
sure.
bus way more often once they introduced that app, because it was so handy.
I like that idea. And then lastly, kind of more walking and cycling, which is what this plan is focused on. Get where you're going within a small radius. You achieve the goals of less traffic, less pollution there. So that's one of the things that we're looking at really with the active transportation plan. So kind of just a quick overview. We do need to utilize all forms of transportation because they all have benefits, they all have disadvantages. Acknowledging the fact that most of our investment has focused on vehicles. And then just noting that we have massive regional growth and that's going to put a strain on our transportation system. So if there's anything that we can do, y'all are familiar with the sustainability plan. We have a whole goal about reducing single occupancy vehicle trips. To achieve a lot of those goals, less traffic, less pollution, alleviate some of that strain on our transportation system. So that's why we're working on this plan. So just some background, kind of already defined what it is. The previous plan was the 2015 Trail Master Plan. This is an update to that and, focusing on other connections that a trail plan might miss. Alignment with the comprehensive plan. The city just spent a lot of time working on that comprehensive plan. There's a lot of public input that was given on mobility. So we're utilizing that public input. And aligning it with the direction set in the comprehensive plan. Lauren worked on that a lot as a representative of our committee. And then the goal is to have a 5-year project list with a funding strategy attached to it. So finding feasible projects that, we hear of need from the community and then identifying funding strategies so we can implement those with as minimal expense to the city as possible. So grant funding, federal funding, anything that we can do to get those projects and spread a dollar further. Public engagement, mentioned there was a lot already done from the comprehensive plan. We have reviewed that. Our consultant has reviewed that and incorporated it into a lot of the stuff that they've already worked on. We'll do the community survey launching in April, the larger community event, April 17th, and then input from boards. Here is, great example of that. Things that we're looking at, proximity, where do people want to go? Is there an obstacle to get there? Are they not able to walk to Brookhaven for some reason? Is there a portion of sidewalk missing? Is the signal timing off? Looking at funding, definitely looking at safety. The map in the middle behind everyone has incidents of bicycle crashes and pedestrian crashes. There are too many on that, if you ask me. So we want to figure out how to reduce that. And then feasibility. I mean, if it's not feasible, these projects are unlikely to be done. So that's what we're looking at. And so with the community input that we're going to gather, basically our consultant will work to kind of create a matrix. So cost of a certain piece of infrastructure, feasibility, what our usage is expecting, our safety, benefits to kind of rank what we think that we can accomplish. So that's where the community impact community input is going to be very important. So there'll be a lot more boards and everything at our community event. We're going to be asking our residents, what their goals are, which would you rank on this? Is it safety? Is it connectivity? What are your top priorities? We'll have the maps and different things kind of identifying, okay, is there missing infrastructure somewhere? And so, and then other things we'll have, are you comfortable, like this gentleman that's riding on a 6-lane highway on Sharrows on a bike? Do you feel safe enough to ride a bike on a shared lane, or do you think that you would need a separated bike lane or one with a barrier? What is someone's comfort level that would help them make a trip via bike? And we do know that there's a decent portion of our population that has to, use these methods of transportation to get where they're going. I was walking around, and it was kind of a rainy day. So this person here is not riding for exercise. I don't think they're riding to get somewhere, a job, school, somewhere else. And that's their option is the Sharrows. Hopefully they're comfortable with that, but that's what we want to hear from people. And then everyone's kind of seen a picture like on the right. It's kind of near our DART station. Is there infrastructure that's missing? For a lot of people, they don't mind walking a little bit off the sidewalk. A lot of people can't. If you're in a wheelchair or on crutches, that's not safe at all. But is there something missing that would allow you to basically swap out a car trip to walking or cycling? So we've got sticky notes and Sharpies and everything. You write on a sticky note after the meeting if you want to stick around and, put some things on the map. And then I'll just kind of open it for discussion here, just to kind of get some input from the board. We don't need to stay too long on it. But just know that we have that community event coming up. We will have a survey, so I encourage everyone to take that and invite your friends, especially if you know someone that cycles in your neighborhood, or if you know someone that wants to be able to walk with their kids to school. This would be a great way to get input, whether they can come in person or take the online survey when that launches. So you guys, I say this all the time, you're the champions in your community. So use that kind of platform to get some of the word out on this.
Alex, I have a couple of questions. So I feel like it wasn't that long ago, and I could be wrong about this, but the DART eliminated some of the stops in Farmers Branch, and then they introduced like a link.
They did take away some of the fixed bus routes, and we have what's called GoLink in the city. So that is kind of like, it's untethered bus stops, if you will. So you use the app very similar to like Uber kind of, and it costs the same as like a fare, but within the GoLink zone, and there's maps of it, and it's a significant portion of Farmers Branch. So I think you could probably go from like City Hall to here and, use GoLink in order. Then basically they have some vans. Sometimes they have a joint thing with Uber Pool, but I have not seen that super recently. But I do see the GoLink vans go by City Hall quite often. And so you put that order in and they pick you up very similar to Uber, and it's charged like a normal fare. So yeah, they got rid of some of the fixed bus stops that were underutilized. And yeah, that's kind of the justification, is now they have the GoLink zone. So.
And I have like another question, like how does Farmers Branch work with DART? Like,
So
that entity.
we're a funding member. So 1 cent of our sales tax is going to DART.
Gotcha.
So all of the DART cities have that same arrangement. So they're funded by our sales tax, and then we have, we communicate with them through a variety of departments. So Public Works is a big one. So like on Valley View, if you go west of 35, they did some like upgrades on the bus stops there. So that was in coordination with our Public Works department. Our city manager, works with them quite a bit. I've attended some of their kind of like their council meetings, just to kind of be aware of their services. And then yeah, Public Works is a big one because that's where a lot of our transportation items are. So that's kind of how we work with them. We've had, just if issues arise, we have meetings with them. So there's been, because there were concerns on security and stuff that a lot of the member cities were having. And so with that, that's when DART has this new push for a lot more officers on trains and different things like that. So that's all kind of how it works.
I had a question on, for bicycling, people want bicycles. Do we have bicycle racks places?
We have some at city facilities. I don't know if they have one at the fire stations, but like at City Hall, we have some up front. I don't know if there's anything within our codes that would require like a new complex or something, a new office building to include that. That's something I think looks to.
There's some in front of the Oxmoor, some in the right.
Rec center, yeah. And they had bike repair stations all around.
Yeah, we installed a lot of the bike repair stations.
Yeah,
too.
over at Gussie, there's one that's got like just a little light on it too.
Well, even think there's one down there by Route C and Red Sticks. Isn't there a bike repair station in that
I
area?
think there is, yeah.
Or at Rawhide.
Those get vandalized. I should have to replace a lot of those. But yeah, they're good to have. And there's one at the rec center, I know, so.
For somebody who does not know what those are, what are they?
So they have, it's a place where you can hang your bike up if you need to do tire work or fix the chain, and there's tools attached to it. I don't know if there's an air pump.
There it is.
Yeah. And so it's kind of
It's on, yeah.
a little bike garage, so to speak, where you can get work from there.
And I remember, going down the DART in the middle of the summer one time, and there's not enough shade down there. No, that's not an encouragement for me to continue doing that, being able to do the summer.
And I think those are, I mean, especially kind of for walking and biking, we know that like it's not many people are gonna choose to commute a long distance by bike or walking in July or August, but there's certain considerations I think that we would want to hear from residents that, you know, okay, maybe we can't say July and August, but if this portion of the sidewalk or if this part of Rawhide Trail or something was shaded, I would be more inclined to walk in September and October or something like that. So those are all good pieces of feedback and, you know, connecting to a dart station, I think, yeah, we could say, yeah, walking there, it was tough to get there, or when I got there, there was no shade. So I think those are all comments that we can include because it all fits into it.
Any other comments? So Wednesday, April 17th.
Correct.
Agenda number C4, consider recommending the city council issue a proclamation for Lights Out Texas. Protect migratory birds and take appropriate action.
I can give a little bit of update on this. Let me close the presentation portion. So last year we had a ceremonial item to the city council for our Lights Out Texas initiative, that partnership with the Audubon Society. And that is basically to increase public awareness and encourage residents to reduce light pollution by turning off non-essential lights at night from 11 p.m. to 6 a.m. So I think the Audubon, Texas, they say 1 out of 3 migrating birds go through Texas. Sorry, that's distracting.
I thought it was neat seeing the transcript up there.
So yeah, there is a significant portion of the bird population that goes through Texas, and the peak migration period starts April 22nd, which is right around Earth Day. This times well with that through May 12th. So what we've done in the past, there's a migration period in the spring and in the fall. We've had a proclamation that they did in the spring that encompassed both of those. So that had those dates. It's April 22nd through May 12th in the spring and September 5th through October 29th in the fall. And so we put out signage, we have social media, newsletters, encouraging people to turn off their lights. So that is kind of what we were thinking. We would bring back our, I guess, resolution or ceremonial proclamation expired, if you will, at the end of 2023. So we can do another one for 2024. We can do one where it's kind of evergreen. There's pros and cons to both of those. If the nice thing, if we go every year, it's a ceremonial thing, picture with the mayor, which is nice. It brings the awareness up a little bit more, I think. But, there's also, if you haven't, you kind of set it for, going into the future. You don't have to refresh it every time. So open to discussion on that. And then it is marked for action if you would want to recommend that we seek a proclamation for this.
Is there anything with becoming a bird city designation that would play in favor of having it?
Yes. So, just doing the proclamation is a requirement for Bird City, which is something that we've kind of been looking at. I don't know if we'll have the resources to apply for that, because there are some programs we would need from the park side. So maybe when things slow down a little bit, we'll get Robert back to the table and see if we can do that. But that is a big requirement for it.
The historical park used to do, I don't know if they still do, but they used to do like a owl walk thing with the owl expert. Is there any way we could do like some kind of bird thing with the historical park, and then maybe also like with the library, like a little bird bingo, just have like a little card printed up that the kids can pick up, at the library station. So, like something like that, just to kind of, besides the proclamation, which is great, but also have something that's a little bit more engaging.
I remember last year we talked about birds in the branch.
Birds in the branch, yeah.
That would be for the kid.
And we did something, Dallas College hosted it was like a nighttime bird thing too, like nighttime pollinators and nighttime birds. I don't know if that was last year or 2 years ago, but we promoted that.
I don't remember, but I could.
I can look back and see about that. I don't know if that was a one-time event or if it was an annual thing, but I think that was 2 years ago.
I mean, the thing with the library might be pretty easy to accomplish quickly enough to do
Yeah.
it this round, but the thing with the historical park, if they still do the owl walk, I think is what it's called.
I'll reach out to Historical Park. I actually need to talk to them about something else anyway, so.
And see if they could do some kind of, maybe we could partner with them and do some kind of like, you know, migratory bird watching, what, I don't know. Like,
And we had a lady visit us who was a
Audubon.
Audubon,
Kathy?
yeah,
Mhm.
who was already tracking the birds that were coming here through the city.
Yeah, she's done some work with the Audubon, Texas they do basically walk through downtown Dallas and identify if birds have like hit the buildings at night.
4 in the morning.
Yeah.
You can volunteer, but you have to be down there at like 4 in the morning.
It's dedication.
Very early. No, yeah.
Yeah.
I think it may be kind of interesting too,
Really early or really late, depending on what you're doing.
I guess.
What do you do for the 2 hours while the bars are closed?
Right.
Take a nap in your car and then go look for birds.
Well, our options for this are to approve recommendation to do a proclamation as is, or table it, or take no action. Is there a recommendation?
I moved that we have that proclamation. Last year we did.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
agree.
So, we got our picture taken, Lauren.
And with the signs, are there gonna be more signs, new signs?
Yeah, I'm gonna get some new signs ordered and then we'll have some, if they do the proclamation, we can have a photo with the mayor holding the signs.
Okay,
So if we take this to council, it would either be April 2nd or probably April 16th. So hopefully, I think April 16th will probably be the one. We'd have it. So if we could have a group of people there, if that's what we want to do, that'd be great.
Point of
I think I heard-
clarification there.
I think I heard a second. Can we all vote on it?
Point of clarification, is this like ongoing or just for this year?
As written, it's just for this year.
Got it. Okay, just need for the minutes. I want to be accurate.
That's actually.
so again, I'm totally re-nominating you.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good idea.
Who's the
Carried.
second?
Unanimously. Shelby.
Okay.
And who had the motion first?
Al.
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 I like the idea of it being an every year kind of ceremonial thing.
I do too.
I think so too.
Keeps it front of mind.
And the timing's right around Earth Day too, so it's kind of a nice tie-in.
Now you can put it on Farmers Branch Radio for.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we need to get it on the marketing
It's a new podcast brought to you by Farmers Branch, the city of Park.
All right, our next agenda item is receive subcommittee updates. Built natural environment is first.
I get distracted by this pencil breaking me. So we, first of all, the survey response rate, that's phenomenal. We're excited to hear that. I don't know if Alex, there's a report that generates from the system or something.
Yes, so I can share that with the group.
Yeah.
It doesn't have any personal information or anything like that. And we can probably do an update, agenda item next meeting and go through the questions and see kind of the breakdown.
Perfect.
Is that still open for people to?
No, that's been closed for a little while.
And then so our next steps are gonna talk about kind of those educational drop-ins that we were discussing and get with you and figure out what, and Alex, what our options are and kind of channels to push that out. I don't know if there's been, at one point we were talking about the data, like how many pounds were dropped off at the community
Mhm.
center. I don't know if we can maybe set a date to capture that and like do a pre-post kind of data collection.
Yeah, so from when we start the outreach, kind of heavy on it, yes, we can do that because we track that monthly and how much gets
Okay.
deposited.
And then the other thing we talked about was doing maybe some sort of raffle or giveaway of a bin at an event. We're hoping for the global event, but we can look at some dates down the line. I don't know if you need like a budget from us or anything like that.
No, I think we can do that. And on the educational side, when we brought up compost, I reached out. So there's a Texas Master Composter program.
That's right.
And it's kind of, it was run, I want to say by the State Alliance for Recycling or something. And it's kind of been moved around a little bit. So the main people that run it work for City of Plano. And part of the thing they have to do to keep their certification is to volunteer. So they would potentially volunteer for us, lead an educational session on how to like do backyard composting. And I think that's where we could maybe have a discounted bin or give away some, and look at maybe doing something like that in the fall.
Yes, that'd be
Um,
great.
I don't know, I have to talk with, if we can do it at the community garden, it'd be really cool to do. So it, like part of it would be hands-on versus just slideshow.
Right.
But I think that would be a good way to kind of get that out. And just based on the survey, there was a fair amount of people that mentioned like they wanted to compost at home, but they don't know how. That was kind of something that was brought up in the survey.
Perfect.
Okay. Next update will be from communications.
Well, in some sad news, they have put the landscape zoning situation on hold. So they are no longer having the tree preservation subcommittee meetings or the landscape committee meetings, which I was attending, until after the elections in May. So that's just come to a halt, pending further direction. Other than that, I don't really have anything to communicate about communications.
Okay, thank you. Got your report now.
Oh, so happy.
All right, water conservation.
Anything else?
Well, I'm running out of ideas. But, you know, I think once we get the AMI meters installed, there should be some applications, that would be helpful. And we can definitely contribute into the conservation plan. Once it's, again, whenever it's done, we'd like to be involved in that. At this point in time, I'm running out of ideas.
Well, you've had quite a few. You'll come up.
Don't come on.
Well, that's my new job with the sustainability, the head of sustainability has a local company that has a large scale water tracking program or a water tracking meter that can, for leak detection, for water waste, that I'm looking into to see. And also I'll talk to him because I found out about the vendor that was selected, but it sounds like there's a couple of vendors that have this. And I think maybe it's something we could propose for the city buildings for water waste and supply line leaks. So that's something that I think would be interesting for an application of the more, I don't know, industrial, but the administrative buildings and the function, in the larger functional buildings. So that's something that I'm gonna look into. I'll email it to Alex. I actually just emailed the company to myself just this week, so I can email that over to Alex when I send him over Owen's information too.
That'd be cool, thank you.
To that kind of topic about, like from where the water stops being the resident's responsibility and starts being, that's not exactly clear to me. I mean, anecdotally, I have 3 houses on my street where at their meter, it's always flooded, like, and the city's come out and marked it, like,
Definitely.
look, you know, like, I mean, one of my neighbors, the front, like, third of their yard is a puddle 9 months out of the year.
Wow.
And it's been that way for years, not just like a little while. And I've seen the, like, where they, you know, put the little spray paint and like inspect or whatever. And yet it's still flooded. So I'd like to have some clarity on like where that, because I don't think it's my neighbor. I doubt they would let a leak go that long and pay a water bill that, you know, like
Yeah,
exorbitant
that's gotta be.
for an extended period of
It has to
time.
be distribution.
Yeah, so I don't know. Have we had anybody talk to us about that?
You can, have you called the city water about it?
Yeah. Or call your councilman.
I'd
How
love
city
to
water?
come here and tell us.
We can
Well,
look
I
at
mean,
having
I'm just
someone from
curious,
utility
as like, as a resident and also like other, you know, as other residents might not know. I assumed that when they were replacing the meters, that would be, because it's like right around the meter box.
Mhm.
So I figured, oh, well, then they'll make the repair. But there's other places that I've noticed where it's kind of like always
Mess.
wet, not just on my street, but it's like always, there's always water,
They have like,
the infrastructure.
they have these, like they have at least 2 inch or 3 inch line. They're copper lines, but there are other lines that are transporting water, notorious for leaks.
Yeah.
Give them a call and they'll look into it. I was driving home one day and it was in one of the junction boxes and just water was just spraying up. I just got on the phone. I called the city, the just water department. I just said, hey, here's the street, it's on the north side, water spraying straight up in the air. And they said, we'll send someone right out.
Well, it's nothing like that. It's just
No, but I mean,
constantly.
as far
That's-
as-
Well,
as
they've
far-
been out. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's markers on the street that the city has put that says inspect across spray painted in front of the meter. And like, that's been that way for 6 months. So it's not an unknown thing. It's just, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm curious what the,
Yeah.
Someone that doesn't live here, they just pay the bill no matter what.
I'm just curious kind of like
Expensive
what the protocol is as far as like how the city manages those kinds of ongoing issues.
I can reach out and see if we can have someone come and talk, but I might connect you with them directly
Sure.
too, just for this.
Sure,
particular
sure.
case. But that wouldn't be a bad thing. I mean, I don't know, so.
Would you connect me also? I have a neighbor it's in an alley and water is always coming out from where their grass meets the street, the alley
Okay,
concrete. And I can never figure out what the heck, where it's coming from.
well, we definitely don't want standing water because mosquitoes will be
Yeah.
out before we know
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But I
you've
guess
got the
that's what I was wondering,
erosion,
like-
and then the street gives way, the
I
concrete.
feel like
gives
if it
way.
was their water, it would show up on their water bill and they would
You'd
be
stop it,
raising,
yeah.
and, you know,
Yeah.
they'd be contacting the city. So,
I mean, I had a similar issue at my house and the city came out. I called them once, they came, inspected it, had it fixed like the next day. Wasting their time on it. I had a leak on the city side of
yeah,
replaced the box and
yeah.
had it done in no time.
We'll go to the back. I'll get to the bottom of it. You bet I will.
You know people in high places. Alex.
pretty low on that org chart.
Low on the totem pole.
Camera. And food.
Alex, can you tell us again where the city is on the installation of those smart meters?
I gave an update last month on that, and I want to say,
80%?
yeah, I don't have a final timeline for that. Let me look and see if I can find where the percentage.
Oh, God, I'm sweating. Are you kidding me? So fun here. I wish I brought my little fan, my little Farmer's Branch fan.
I can't find it right away, but I'll follow up on that.
All right, anything else? Got it? All right. Our next item is to receive an update from committee members on activities attended.
I attended our sustainability presentation at work today.
Did you make
On
the
the city
presentation?
event.
I helped. I helped with the editing.
Do you know how the town halls about the bonds have been attended?
I want to say the first couple were pretty well attended, and I think they had one over on the west side that was pretty sparse, but
I attended the one here Monday night. It was packed and staying in the room.
Oh, okay. Almost came and decided to go.
Yeah, so I'd say there's a good 30 people.
Oh, nice. Good.
Next one is Tuesday, April 9th. That'll be the last one.
Is this for the pipe replacement bond? Which one is this?
This is for the bond, there's 3 bond proposals, so this is the town hall about this.
okay. If you go to the city's webpage, there's an elections piece and talk about the bonds that are on there. There's gonna be upcoming council, I think 2 positions on council are up for reelection or election, and then amendments to the city charter. So be sure as residents to check those out. Okay.
I think it's May 4th is the election day. So, any other comments? Lisa's having. You can't go to the subcommittee meetings right now.
I'm bummed.
Yeah.
It's a drag.
Yeah.
It is a drag.
We're just about to get to the good stuff.
All right.
And you said they'll reactivate them after the election?
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Okay, our last agenda items, to discuss agenda items for future sustainability committee meetings.
Could we ask why the estimate was so far off? And what was it specifically that they were so far off on the initial prospectus for the solar?
So I never got full clarification on that. They said the topography was the main cause, but they knew about the topography.
Right.
So I think it was, I don't know. I can speculate that it was potentially they were overbidding to make sure that they won and then adjust it later. I don't know for sure. I have their response, which,
Okay, that might be
you know,
useful.
I can share that, but that's, that was the main thing was topography, but because there is a elevation change on there and it's clean soil. So they had the option if they wanted to, where they could level it out, but they said that the production wasn't worth the dirt work, essentially, the increased production. So yeah, to me, it was just messed up.
In events like that, is there like a documentation made that like this vendor did this wrong?
Yeah, so we would have that. So they would not probably be able to, I don't know, I mean, I guess they could still reapply, but they're probably not going to. But we have that in there. A lot of times that most of on our RFPs, we have some sort of criteria about like past work, whether that's for us or for other cities that we look into. So if they were to reapply for us, it will go well. And one other thing on that RFP that we're gonna release, I don't know if y'all are familiar with the nonprofit organization RMI, Rocky Mountain Institute. So they do a lot of sustainability work. They have someone that is, works on brownfields, so solar on brownfields, so industrial sites, landfills. So they have a partnership between RMI and Kansas University of Kansas. And so they will be reviewing the RFP to hopefully make sure that we're making it as easy as possible for people to accurately provide bids or quotes.
It's almost like a commissioning agent for the,
Yeah, because they're trying to support the development of these projects. So they're willing to, at no cost to the city, provide resources on that. So we're utilizing them. And that I did ask them about the sizing thing. Their kind of opinion was, it was the estimated, the person that I talked to, the estimated production that they came back with after the final designs. He was like, I'm kind of shocked that they thought they were going to get that much more from that site. So.
Not so well for their professional evaluation.
No.
Yeah.
Some of the things we had responsibilities with the rewilding. I was hosting a speaker from the Public Works Department to discuss water conservation, zoning and attainable housing. That's one.
They did have that groundbreaking for the porches of Pepper Park or Valor or something like that, which is really cool. And I would love to hear more about how that came about. And also, is there any future potential?
for what?
They're doing, they call it workforce housing, but it's affordable housing. People can apply you have to fill out an application to qualify. You have to, there's certain things you have to qualify to be able to get one of these houses.
Where is
There's like 10, I think, and they're right over there behind Pepper Park and Orange, all over in that
Oh, okay.
area. they're gonna build houses that are just like, 1,500 square feet or, you know. So that was really cool.
They've been talking about that program a lot on council meetings recently. On kind of direction for future. So I would kind of encourage, if that's something you're interested in, to kind of look at some of those, the video on the agenda items and hear some of that discussion. But it's, from what I know about the program, it's the city has purchased lots and especially like dilapidated housing, and then has a contract with Builders of Hope. Is
Right,
the name of so I believe it's a nonprofit.
it is.
And they basically build homes that kind of match that community. So it's not 2-story, 3,000 square foot homes. It's, smaller, more modest homes. And then people apply and can, I guess, get it as more affordable housing.
Mhm. I know it's not really in our to me, sustainability also includes affordable housing that's, reasonably priced and,
Efficient, yeah.
efficient and in line with the community, the way it looks and stuff like that. So, but it would be nice to hear more about that program and anything they have future plans for that. Cause I know that the demo and rebuild thing is on the bond election,
Mhm.
which I don't think this is a part of.
This is
It is
separate.
part of it. No, it's part of it.
Oh, it is?
It is part of it.
Okay.
Is it part of the bond or the?
Yeah, it's either the Renaissance or demo rebuild. It's all put together
Okay.
in this bond election. There's not a whole lot of money. You're not gonna be able to buy a whole lot of houses or land or anything like that.
Well, I understand, but I think that funding something like that, as a resident, I would way rather see that than a developer come in and put a $750,000 house next door.
Agreed.
So, I mean, that's not as sustainable and it changes, a lot of,
Just raising my property tax.
things in that
Or
also.
there are zoning requirements that will prevent something like that happening.
Prevent what from happening?
Well, depending on the lot size, there's, I think, a limit to the square footage and a minimum on the square footage. Alex, if I'm speaking incorrectly, let me know.
I don't know 100%, but there are there's setback requirements and stuff like that. So there's only so much of a lot that you can build. But I think within, I guess kind of what the difference with this program that they've been talking about a lot more about council. It's more, they build smaller homes versus, I think a lot of the ones, if it's just open market, they will build basically to the lines that they can, the setbacks. So, it can't be overly large, but it can still be much larger than the homes in the neighborhood.
When I looked at the project, the square footage of all the houses is 1,600 square feet.
To
Yeah,
fit the
it's like-
community.
Yeah, it's in line with the design,
Yeah.
if you didn't live on that street, you probably could drive down it and not really be able to pick out which houses are new. If you were just driving by. So I think that's more of a sustainable model to my mind, for city growth than having, just one or two really big houses in a neighborhood that it doesn't really fit in, but that may just be more of an aesthetic that I don't like and other people do, so.
We can look at having someone come and speak to that if we have room on the future agendas. And if that's something of interest to you, I believe it was last council meeting during the study session, there was a lot of discussion about that program. Because it's kind of in line with a few other programs that they have. And so they were kind of, I think, Allison Cook, who's our director of economic development, did a presentation. She kind of talked about, here's what the demo rebuild program does. Here's what the neighborhood renaissance. I'm not as familiar with all of those, but.
Well, these would also be good questions to bring up the next town hall meeting.
Sure, yeah, then I'm definitely gonna go.
Bryce, how about your employer there? Would he be willing to come at our next meeting?
Me or you?
Yeah, Bryce.
Oh, it'd be a Zoom. He's based in North Carolina, but yeah. I was actually gonna say I'll try to set that up for April's meeting.
Alex, would that be okay?
Yeah, I think we can do that.
So I gotta make sure I can tell him to hold it to 10-15 minutes.
Yeah,
He'll,
but I guess to be zooming, just cut them off.
yeah.
Blame them for
He's
it.
very excited about it. He could go on for a long time.
Yeah, we can, if you want to send them, what did we say? Our next meeting is April 13th or April 10th, I mean.
Every time.
So if you want to check his availability,
Yeah.
just let Joseph and I know as soon as you
Yeah.
know.
Okay, great. Any other things we need to talk about?
I think we'll get an, invitation for Alex to come and speak to our HOA in April sometime, so more visibility.
Do your HOA?
How many HOAs are there in Farmers Branch?
Not where you think.
Interesting. Because that's one of the things they were saying about the landscaping. It's like, this feels very HOA. If we already have a bunch of HOAs, I don't really know what the problem would be. Although, don't forget things about HOAs usually.
So what are you gonna speak about? Oh,
Just,
I'm just now learning that.
I was gonna give you a surprise.
need a bunch of cheerleaders?
I mean,
Absolutely, please join.
yeah.
We have 40 chairs. Only 10 people attend our HOA.
Okay, so that would be half the group, you know, you have the room.
And they're all the loudest ones.
What's that?
They're all the loudest ones.
Really? Do you have it? I don't either.
What big city, where do you live?
You're in an HOA, right?
Oak Brook Parkway.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Do you have an HOA?
I'll give everyone the details and give
Yeah.
Alex the details and
Yeah.
we should come. We've done good work. There's a lot that we've done.
Okay. Well, if there's no other further conversation, is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
And move.
Oh, wait, I got something, I'm sorry, I'm talking about this HOA meeting.
Yeah.
All the Dallas County Community College District campuses, correct me, but it's my understanding each campus is doing an April 6th solar. That's the right date? April 8th, that sounded wrong. Solar eclipse, viewing. And I'll get
And what does the
information
person
out.
have to do to participate in that?
It's open to the public. I'll get you, information to Alex.
Just show up.
Just show up, yeah, I would bring you on.
Right.
If I remember right, from what the city has said, it's like at 1:40 in the afternoon, goes for 4 minutes. So very short window.
Yeah.
I'll be on my.
Definitely. Oh my God, I see, it's like when you look at the ground, you see the little crescent move every day.
Yeah.
That's all I've never
That's all
looked at.
All right, is that anything else?
That's it, I'm sorry, that's.
Okay, have a first motion over here to adjourn, is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
Hi.
Aye. Okay, we are adjourning the meeting at 7:30 PM. Thank y'all for coming.
That's good,
Thank you, everyone.
thank you.
Not forgetting the water bottle.
That's right.
Did you ever?